Welcome to the first episode of Fraser Coast Stories with George Seymour. In this podcast, I'll be delving into unique Fraser Coast stories. We live in a really beautiful region with a diverse community, and there are many different aspects that form our identity and purpose. I want to bring some of those lesser-known stories out through this podcast and celebrate what's happening across our community. For this first episode, I'm joined with Breannah Mitchell. I've known Breannah for a number of years through her business, BM Film Productions, through her advocacy for young people in the environment, and through her very important work with Hervey Bay Coral Watch. Good afternoon, Breannah. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks so much, George, for getting me to come along and being the first guest.
Yeah, the very first guest on this podcast. I saw you. We're at the Hervey Bay Community Center right now. I saw you here yesterday raising some really important points at a community event.
Yeah, I came to the event yesterday because I really wanted to just hear everyone's voices, but then kind of like instead of everything being fear-based about our young people, trying to look at solution-based approaches that encourage our young people to thrive through parts of fear. And I think that's really important for our community to, no matter what you go through in life, you're always learning and you're always evolving. And I think that's important for our young people to know, like, no matter where you are in life, it's not a competition. And I think also it's just like encouraging those young people to follow their dreams. And that's what I really want to encourage, because I know for me and myself, following my dreams has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I wasn't that stereotypical person who went to university, and I worked really hard. And I'm just really grateful to be where I am in my life right now.
Yeah, and I first met you a number of years ago at Urangan State High when you were brought back for some leadership ceremony or a graduation as an alumni of Urangan State High. Can you tell me a bit about, what brought, your childhood here in Hervey Bay, going to Urangan State High, and what your dream was and how you followed it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for saying that. So I felt really privileged to be asked to go back to my old high school at Urangan High. So I was born and raised in Hervey Bay, and I've been absolutely a proud local. And just from experience myself, I know when the community holds someone like close, especially a young person, that's really important to follow their dreams. And I've seen it firsthand because I had the community backing me, especially with my dreams. And a lot of people that I've met in city areas, for example, like that are in the film industry but have been to uni, they look at me and they're like, how the hell did you get to where you are with your business? And I actually say it's because I was in a regional town and I had people supporting me the whole way, and I feel really grateful. And just because you live in a regional town doesn't mean that you won't get those opportunities later in life. And that's what I want to encourage young people, is that you don't need to move to the big smoke in order to make a difference in this world, or to follow your dreams. And with my upbringing, like I've been through a lot in my life, but I only got diagnosed with dyslexia when I was in year 11. And that was a huge turning point for me, because I always wanted to be a vet, but then I realized I was a very creative person. And I started like kind of turning away from what teachers were saying, like you should go to uni and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this by myself. I'm going to, I'm going to prove to people that I can make a name for myself in something that I love. And a lot of people have said to me when I speak about film or speak about something I'm passionate about, I always have a smile on my face. And that's the truth. And that's when you know that you're standing in your own light and you're really focused on your mission. And I think for me too, no matter like if you have a learning disability or anything like that, it's just kind of the direction of what you're made of. And I think it can be quite inspiring to other people, because it doesn't matter if you have a disability. I think we can learn so much from people that have a disability too, because they're always, happy, and they're here to show us something in ourselves too.
Yeah. And what you've done with BM Film Productions is really amazing. How old were you when you started the company?
So I actually, the funny thing is I actually had a balloon modeling business when I was 12.
What's a balloon modeling business?
So I wanted to be a clown. And I actually raised money for the Fraser Island dingoes. So I did that when I was 12.
So is that like making puppies or swans? Yeah, actually, I learned that once. I learned to make, I think it was a puppy, because it's a good political skill. I was working for a politician, and we had a guy working who could do it. And so he would create the balloons, and the children would come, and their parents would come, and the politician would talk to the parents. So it's a very underutilized political skill to model balloons. You'll have to teach me some of the. Yeah.
Well, Tanya's actually asked me to come and deliver that at the Hervey Bay Neighbourhood Centre. So
it's a rare skill. What's the most difficult balloon creature you can make?
I can actually basically make anything with my mind. So I can literally see it. That's why I love dyslexia, because you're an out-of-the-box thinker, and I can literally see it in my head and I'm able to create it. And I was actually given an opportunity. Some person down in Melbourne found me and contacted me, and they wanted me to go on this balloon modelling TV show down in Melbourne. Yeah. But unfortunately, I didn't have my second COVID jab, so I didn't take that opportunity. But I felt like, I was like, wow, they found my skills really exciting. Yeah. So that was really exciting for me. But yeah, I started that, and through my work as a balloon modelling person, I then was able to buy my first camera. And that was really exciting for me, because I'd worked really hard in my balloon modelling business, and then started my business when I was 18.
And that's BM Film Productions. Yeah. And so can you tell me a bit about your clients? I know you did like a car ad and a lot of local businesses, and you did tell me that I could be an extra in one of them at one point.
Yes.
I'm still waiting. Yeah.
No, you'll definitely be the first that I can contact. Yeah. So I did a lot of commercial work. I didn't really find, I did get like clients in Hervey Bay, but a lot of my work when I started getting bigger was on the Sunshine Coast, Brisbane and Bundaberg. So I was traveling a lot, doing commercials. But I was actually like really grateful that I met Mick Owen from Surveyors at Work, because I was able to develop my skills through charity. Like, that's why I want young people to know that they think that they have to, get somewhere really fast, but it's actually a journey. And for me, seeing everything, it's actually a really beautiful journey. It's everything's like, when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I met that person for a reason. This person's taught me this, or this person was a lesson. And that's what I find really exciting about life, is just those like little moments. And when I was doing my charity work for the Dunga Derby, I was able to develop those filmmaking skills. And then Mick took me under his wing, and he saw me as this young person doing these music videos and not earning any money. Yeah. And he's like, hey, we need to get you some bread and butter. Why don't you work at Surveyors at Work? And you can do our social media. But then he also gave me an opportunity to work at Latitude 25 doing like their commercial stuff. And then I was probably working with them for about a year and a half, developed those skills. And I was like, I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can really like push my business, because I developed those skills. Yeah. So.
And we'll get to your award-winning film, Corals on Your Doorstep, which arose out of your interest in Hervey Bay Coral Reefs. How did that come about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the thing is I'm always been a person who just loves learning. I'm like a little sponge. And I don't know, like, when I was just working, I was a bit of a workaholic. I was working so hard. I really wanted to buy my first house and everything like that. And when I got to that point, I actually developed a whole heap of health issues. And I was like so lost. I went through this dark night of the soul, and I was completely lost. I was like, oh my God, is filming really the direction I'm supposed to be going in? And I lost my identity. I didn't know where I was going in life. And I was like, wow, how can I go from here? And then I started to realize, like, even in my relationships and stuff like that, nothing was fulfilling me. And the only thing, like, when I was going through this really sick period, I had fibromyalgia and vasculitis, and everything was just becoming so overwhelming. And then for the first time, I had to look in the mirror and really see myself. And then when I was out on the water, snorkeling and paddleboarding, I went back to things that I loved as a kid. And it really like reinforced in me that, wow, like I really do love the environment. And when I was volunteering for Turtles in Trouble, I really started to see how much of a need that we need to do to save our nature and our environment. And I found that really interesting because I always like wanted to be a Bindi Owen.
Yeah.
And I started to see these connections in my own life of like how I wanted to be a vet and how I loved nature. And when I was out in the water, I started getting these feelings of like hope. But then I saw myself reflected in the corals. They were stressed. They were going through diseases. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. I'm going through the exact same thing. But they gave me this like love. And it's like they understood me like that no other human could.
Yeah. And it's a very unique coral reef. I mean, there's not many other reefs that are that close to an urban center. Are there any other reefs like along the eastern seaboard that are that close as these are to Hervey Bay?
Well, when I was out there, I was like, I need to raise awareness about these beautiful.
Yeah, because people don't know about them.
They really don't. And these inshore coral reefs are the closest inshore coral reef in Australia to an urban city centre.
Yeah.
And they have been through so much, but they're also so resilient. And I think like for me, when I saw other threats coming towards them, I was like, this could be the end of their existence. And that's why I wanted to raise awareness. And it was hard for me as well because I had built a community around me of people that, you know, were developers and who were real estate agents. And I was forced with this like thing in my head going, is it right or isn't it right? I need to speak up. And I like put all that aside because I cared so much about the reefs and I knew exactly like that scientists were backing me on their research.
Yeah. And what are the threats to the reefs?
There are many threats to coral reefs, but a lot of it can be because they're so close to shore. It's like, land clearing and water runoff. And the biggest thing that our reefs have that no other reef in Australia has is light pollution.
Yeah.
And the higher you build, the more impact that you have on the reefs because light emitting from a high-rise building can impact the coral's ability to spawn, to reproduce, and it actually causes the corals to collapse in on themselves. But it's not just the corals, it's also the fish. And then that's why like on the Gold Coast, you see sharks coming up to the areas because it's light and it's like a feeding frenzy for them. Yeah. And I think that's why for me, I was like, these reefs, we have 15 kilometres of coral reef in Hervey Bay. Like they're so unique. Like people need to go out and visit them. And because the marina is so far away and we've got that sandbank, I'm trying to like think of other ways that people can access the reefs because I think it's really important to raise awareness. And I know the first reef that I ever snorkeled on was our reefs and I just fell in love with them.
Yeah.
You know?
And for listeners, can you tell about where they are? I mean, it's sort of Enzo's to Point Vernon. Where's the best place to snorkel or to kayak over the reefs? So the most amazing thing is like a lot of people didn't know that we have reefs from Torquay all the way to Point Vernon. And the Torquay reef is the closest inshore coral reef that we have. And then you've got Scarness and you've got Pyalba and you've got Point Vernon. Yeah, so last time we went kayaking, I think we left from the boat ramp at Torquay by the sailing club.
Yeah, we did. That was a really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you enjoy it?
I love it. Yeah, to go over it in a clear bottom kayak and see it and see the wildlife around it. It's really extraordinary. It's not something you see unless it's like an ultra low tide when you can when some of it around Point Vernon comes up above the water.
Yeah, so that would be a 0.3 metre low tide. It's like fully exposed. And a lot of people think like the coral's dead if it gets fully exposed, but corals have been exposing for thousands of years.
How old is our reef?
6,500 to 7,000 years old.
Yeah. It's a really special thing. And I think it's really amazing how you've really helped the community to understand it and protect it. Tell me a bit about what Hervey Bay Coral Watch does.
So I actually, because I saw that there was a need for raising awareness, I did a coral ambassador program on Heron Island, which is really exciting.
Heron Island's amazing.
Yeah. And I was picked out of a whole heap of people around Australia with my mum, and we were really excited. We got in for the intake, and I got to learn about coral biology and how I can also teach people hands-on on how they can either collect data for the reefs and just raising awareness about reefs and climate change. Because a lot of people, you know, the issue with climate change is a lot of people think that, you know, it's not real, but it is real because, like, I've been diving the reefs and I've seen the reefs completely bleached. And climate change is human impact, and we're just, you know, obviously we're moving closer to the sun, but the more that we have, more that we're not reducing certain human impacts, the more that, you know, the corals are going to have like chemicals runoff and everything like that, and that gets heated up. And for flooding is a massive thing for reefs because it's taking everything that we've had on land out into the ocean. It just sits around them and it's like a hot
It decimated
mess.
the seagrass. Those 2022 floods, I'm not sure what they did to the reefs, but the seagrass, you know, the main food of the turtles and the dugongs here was, those floods were horrific for that.
How did it make you feel when you saw that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw it in the turtles, you know, floating and sinking and being hospitalized to see it. And then, you know, I think the dugongs can move on a bit better than, you know, the resident turtles. But yeah, it's very sad to see the effect of the turtles. But, you know, I mean, I think the seagrass has bounced back a bit. Now you see more along the shoreline than you used to, washed up on the high water mark.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. It was like a lot of the sediment, and obviously sediment also goes on our reefs as well.
Yeah.
And that's what also causes coral bleaching is like when the waters get warmer, it begins to bleach. And we saw that a lot in the 2024 bleaching event here in Hervey Bay. And my footage was actually used and put on the news to show that Hervey Bay was impacted as well. And we're actually part of the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon, which is really exciting. And I think it's a really good opportunity for council because you guys are now a Reef Guardian Council. I feel like just with the right steps and everything like that, we can get a lot of tourism here, not just on the reefs, but actually just showcasing the beautiful environment that we have in nature. And I think...
Yeah, the Sandy Straits are incredible. Yeah, for the wildlife, the amount of rays that the breed, the stingrays that breed, the dugongs, the turtles, it's and then of course the whales. It is an incredible area for wildlife in the marine park.
Oh, it is, and I really hope like the university here too can get a marine course up and running because they don't have that, and like. We even have the endangered white seahorse here. And I just think that there's actually so much that we can do to help our young people stay here because we actually, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like people aren't actually really proud of Hervey Bay. They wish that they were the Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast. They don't actually understand how rare and how beautiful we're connected to Gari. And, you know, we have Lady Elliot, but we're always just showcasing those areas and we're not actually showing what's in our own backyard.
And even Round Island, you know, just there a couple hundred meters is incredible. So in terms of the citizen science that Hervey Bay Coral Watch is doing, I've seen, you know, it looks like paint samples where you tick off on the colors. Can you tell me a bit about what you're doing there when you inspecting the colors of the reef?
Yeah, well, I'd love to take you out one time so you can use the Coral Health Chart. So the Coral Health Chart is anyone can use it, even kids. So it determines the health of the coral. So you put the health chart up against the coral and it goes from the lightest and darkest shade and it can tell you when the coral is about to bleach. And then it's recorded and then you can upload that data into the Coral Watch database. And it's really exciting because it teaches people that we have hard, soft corals, and Hervey Bay has, it's mainly dominated by hard coral species and we have the endangered turbinara on our reefs, which is really exciting compared to like Bundaberg in Bargara, which has only soft coral cover and we actually have that hard coral cover. Which
what's
shows.
The difference between what sounds obvious between hard and soft coral?
Well, it's like that forming hard coral base. So that's, you know, you've been out on the reef, you've seen those big yellow corals.
So what does soft coral look like?
Soft coral is like it looks a bit spongy. It's just soft. But yeah. But that hard coral is it's been formed from thousands of years.
And a lot of people have learned more about the reef here at Hervey Bay through your film, Corals on Your Doorstep, which is award-winning. It is amazing. Can you tell me a bit about what led to that? Because it's a really good story. It's about the reef, but more broadly, it's about Jasper and, you know, his relationship to the natural environment and his late father.
Yeah, it was really exciting, and especially having a youth ambassador here in Hervey Bay, and it's just giving those kids a voice and an opportunity to engage in something they're really passionate about. And when you meet Jasper, he's like I think he's like a 50-year-old man. Like it's like he's so wise for beyond his years. And yeah, I just remember like him and I were filming something for the like just raising awareness about the Sheraton, and just the way he was talking, something just came to me, and I said, "Hey, we need to make something together." I said, "Your voice needs to be heard," and I said, "Let's make a film." And he was like, "Let's do it." And that's what I loved is like, I think it's important for our youth. Like even at yesterday's event, I feel like there could have been like a high school student actually talking about what they want to see in the community instead of like showing what's bad, what's, you know, these issues and crime and all that. Why don't we like celebrate our youth? Like why can't it just, instead of having Youth Week, why can't we celebrate everyone, you know?
Yeah.
And and when you actually sit down with these young people, you actually like listen what they're afraid of. And a lot of it's also deforestation and not having those nature areas.
Yeah.
And with Jasper, he wants to protect the reefs. He wants people to that connection because he had that connection with his dad out on the reefs. And so and then the most beautiful thing was I felt, even though I've never met his dad, Christian, I felt like his dad was with us during filming.
And I saw it's dedicated to him at the end. I mean, I think we all see things through different lenses. Like I watched Boys in the Hood, the film, for the first time in 30 years last week. And as a child, you know, a 14-year-old child, I didn't see the fatherhood thing between the father and the main character. It must be Trey, maybe. The father is Lawrence Fishburne, I think. But he goes by Larry. It's such an early thing. But at the time, as a 13-year-old child, I didn't see the fatherhood as one of the big themes. But now, as a father, I did. And in your film, like I see the overarching thing is this relationship between Jasper and his deceased father, and how what he learned from his father, the values and about the environment and being out there and in the sunshine and above the reef. And that's what really shone through. And I think it's just such a beautiful film. Can people watch it on YouTube?
Yeah, so they can watch the film on YouTube. I've put it out there now, which is really exciting. And like you said, I think everyone feels connected to nature in some sort of way. And when these areas like are being, you know, put in for houses and stuff, I think that there's areas that need to be protected, because for us to settle our nervous systems from living the way that we are, those areas actually give us this sense of peace. And I know whenever I'm out in the water, and I know that you like to take your kayak out, there's something about nature that just resets the soul. Yeah. And, you know, for Jasper, whenever he's out on the water, he thinks of his dad. Yeah, and I think that's really beautiful.
That is really beautiful. And you've got another project coming up, a children's book?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Can
you tell us a bit about that?
So I'm really excited. I that little inner child was coming back into me, especially, you know, from being sick and then, but for me, I realized it was just kind of changing the direction of my life into what I should be doing. And I do have a massive connection to education, and when I was 18, I became a teacher aide and I worked at the special school, and I love kids. And I made this book because I wanted to showcase that we have reefs here, and I want it to go worldwide, just so people can actually know that these reefs do exist. And in my book, the character, she actually doesn't live in Hervey Bay. She lives further away, but she travels here because I wanted to show that you can actually travel to Hervey Bay and visit them. And just showing like how close they are to shore, but also that you can protect the reefs no matter if you don't even live near the reefs, you can still make an impact.
Yeah, I look forward to reading it when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's really inspirational what you're doing, Breannah, and I want to thank you on behalf of the community for, you know, standing up for young people in our region, the environment, and of course the coral reef.
Oh, thank you so much, George, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.